we're so slow with our emotions.
We are in the meaning crisis, obvious. So we are lost. Beauty should be a pattern.
The more symmetrical, the more beautiful.
Something made you turn and look to that instead of the other.
So welcome back to those who decided to move on to our second episode where we continue where we left off before. And before we talked about the Dialogos as the model and the perception of the world within the cognitive science approach. And we decided that we have Dia, which means a through thing. Then we have Logos, which consists of three main components. The one we discussed the last time was the good, the concept of good or the goodness. And this time we will try to continue with the concept of beauty. And hopefully we'll be moving into the concept of truth, which will probably close our first module, if you can call it that way, of conversations that concern the essential idea of Dialogos. And just for us, for someone who joined us for the first time. So what we are trying to do here is to define the concept of relevance realization, which was initially presented by John Vervaeke, the representative of the cognitive science in general as an approach. And we are building up with the concepts that are within it, that are related to it. And we talk a lot about the participatory, right? Basically the applied knowledge when when you're not only talking about things just as they are conceptually settled.
They're not just propositional.
Yes, we try to dive in how you can practice that in your life. So conversations are not easy. Conversations are difficult to follow. But in essence, we are trying to build up a strategy of a so-called sense making, right? Or the creation of the meaning. Yes.
Because we are officially in the meaning crisis.
Sort of, yes. We are in the meaning crisis, and it's obvious. Smart enough people understand that there is a variety of everything happening, like that you could explain things from different perspectives, and we're lost. Right?
Jordan Paul called it meta-crisis.
Meta-crisis. So we are lost to an extent. In one of my trips, there was an insight that came to me. You have to consider everyone as a lost mind. And one of the biggest desires of yours should be to orient them, to make them less lost.
Coming back home.
Well, or even I don't know if that's the way home, right? But as a metaphor, it's kind of nice. It's used a lot.
We're trying to reorient each other, like we're kind of wandering away from the path, and then we kind of want to come back. Yeah, we have this urge to come back, like towards something, like when things are right.
Exactly. And well, again, I wanted to play around with the notion of right, as I usually do. But the way I use this, the way it should be, right? And then we diversify. So we will try to get into the concept of beauty today. And I find it actually, so we started, right? I find it actually a nice criterion for the definition, in general, because again, that is my perception. I'm not sure if this is anyhow related to the what actually is happening, but beauty should be a pattern.
Yeah.
And beauty, why this is very misleading, I assume, not at times, but in general as a notion, misleading because how do you come up with the most used interpretations of a specific term? A very simple association test. I give you the word, in one click, you give me the direct association. Mm-hmm. The Freud invented that a while ago. But it still works. So, but now I can complicate that. So whatever is more predominantly present in your semantic field, basically frequentially, or quantitatively. It's a lot.
In AI models, it's statistics.
Yeah, I'm assuming, and that the first association, you just grab the biggest one, usually. Unless
Depends.
you're trained.
It depends.
Unless you're
It
trained.
depends. No, not even that. Unless you're trained, we can use it in two different meanings, right? You trained, as in like you practice to do it, to notice,
Yes.
or you've been trained to react the way that worked before and stayed with you. So you react, let's say, to things with anger, right? You've learned that way. You've been trained. You've been, or the other way, the other word we could use, you've been, what's the best word?
Conditioned.
Conditioned, exactly.
Conditioned.
Conditioning, right? Right.
Yeah.
You've been.
I'm talking right now about conditioning, exactly. So the semantics, I mean, it's not, I love to say that again and again, and I wonder why. Vygotsky, the guy, 1930s, I mean, the psychologist that is being cited by, I mean, probably the only Soviet psychologist that is being cited by others in the entire world. So he has developed a notion of the higher psychic functions. And he literally says that higher psychic functions are literal representations of the external social relations.
Again, higher
psychic functions
are
the representations of the existing external social relations.
existing external.
Yeah, and the way you build those up, the psychic functions, is by the process called interiorization.
Yeah.
So this approach kind of questions like what is genuinely yours, and all of the semantic fields basically represent what's happening. That's why we have generations, because semantics is filled in. I mean, I have another good idea to dive in today in this context, but let me try to roll it out bit by bit. So what is genuinely yours remains unclear in this context, and then it creates the semantic fields that could be easily obtained by this association test very quickly. So it's just the fastest, not necessarily the most relevant one, but definitely what is near, right?
Yeah, because what you pull out of that, that could be conditioned and not your choice, right? Or
Totally.
Yeah.
These ones are totally conditioned.
Yep.
So and when we talk about the beauty in this context, beauty is something attractive, right? I would probably think if I would be asked like this, a beautiful girl.
Really terrifying.
Terrifying what?
Sometimes it can be really. It's almost always. It should be really terrifying. What's beautiful is.
You mean
by one definition
necessarily?
Almost necessarily. I don't know if it's always like that, but it should shake you.
I would say. I would say it's more of a breathtaking than terrifying. To an extent, it is terrifying. Yeah. I would say it's terrifying and it's breathtaking.
Yeah, and it's awe-inspiring. You know, yeah. Like that's actually one of the responses to the insight. Right? When you get insight.
I mean, you dove in a little bit. You jumped above. I wanted to say before that whatever is conditioned, that could not probably experience the way you explained that.
Okay.
But whatever is not conditioned, and that's we're coming into this.
Wait, how we
distinguish?
Tell me how did you connect beauty with conditioning?
Associative test.
Okay.
So it's just the most generic definition of beauty, and I was saying a beautiful girl, right?
Right. Yes. Okay.
So I'm like, oh yes, but what I was trying to say that beauty goes far beyond something that we have stored in our semantic cloud.
Yes.
And that's
way beyond.
Yeah, and that's where you come in with this experience, how you experience the beauty, and it would have been a next step to explaining that beauty is not just about something attractive; it's about specific patterns that are perceived in the way like this.
Like me?
No, I mean,
so beautiful.
Like you
think I look so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Like you describe it, you know. So that could be anything. So for me, I like the beauty of systems, right? Especially the ecosystems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying now to make this extrapolation to this. It's the complex.
Yeah,
where
like
you see the beauty.
it's like,
and that's where it gets tricky. That's why I'm approaching this very.
yeah, it's where things make sense, right?
As well. Wow.
In both senses, they make sense, and they make,
They seem to be relevant at the moment.
yeah, and they're participating in the making of that sense. All of the things in that necessarily are participating. So it's like Neoplatonic structure, like
Yes, and now
and different, yeah.
So I'm hoping we're good at this point. So we see the beauty is not just something we like internally consider as beautiful and attractive. It could expand far beyond that. And that's where I wanted to give you a word so you can roll it out. What's there beyond? So first we have the reaction. Whatever is beautiful, it's partially thrilling and terrifying.
For some reason, you looked at it.
And
right?
breathtaking.
Yes. But if we break it down like that, and when you initially trying to understand like why did you decide to look at it first?
So we go to the second point. So first point, emotional reaction. Second point, attentional attractiveness, right? So you, for some reason, you decided to look.
Isn't it the other way around?
It's the other way around, but we started from there.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's just I'm trying to divide the components. Okay, emotional reaction. Okay, whatever is
whatever,
attraction.
like well, that's exactly what we're talking about. Like whatever it was, that's the basis of relevance realization. Something made you turn and look to that instead of the other.
Considering
you've already made so many choices, like to not look at like that, like that.
But what do you consider that these both are equal, right? No,
What do you mean?
Something
Equal.
that you've turned away from in comparison versus something you decided to look at.
Well, if you do it, sure. Necessarily, there's the opponents, right? Or not the opposites, but in that sense, something you're not looking at and something you're looking at. Right?
So you make this distinction, and
for some reason there was decision already to not look at this and look at that.
So you're gonna say it's a sort of
so relevance realization precedes that, like that first step. It's the basis of, like, as I understand. I don't as I understand it, right? Or through John and everybody else. And also I speak to my friend Andrew, who's, we are kind of, we've tried to kind of have a concept of that, and we kind of discussed it, and that's what we came to, at least for now.
I mean, it makes sense. Now I'm thinking, okay, how to put it in the model as a prerequisite to, but I mean, the decision to look at something voluntarily or non-voluntarily, we need to also distinguish that.
I think it's always voluntarily. No, I'm wrong. I'm here.
Here it becomes interesting here. It's a shaky ground. So basically we could say that relevance realization is opening itself up in the process of the dialogues.
Yes.
Then it will make a perfect structural sense in this case. And the beauty is one of the important components
that open you up towards that.
I want you to go further. I'll rewind it a little back. Relevance realization precedes this beauty, and we already have
the act precedes the act of looking.
When we have 2 points, you look at something, you emotionally react.
And then you're only
Next step.
Emotion is far
beyond that.
Way after that. It's like we're so slow with our emotions. Like relevance realization works kind of like, just split second decision, right? you decide. For some reason you did it. Like, I'm sure materialists, thinkers, they will describe it as it's instinct, right? Or whatever. They will do it in a sense like, but that's where determinism comes from. Because in materialistic point of view, there's only determinism. There's no reason, there's no there's no reason to do anything. Everything is just random, like completely, which is fucking horrible. Like it's a horrible model. It's a
very rough model.
It's a nihilistic model. That's why we lost all meaning, because we've been through nihilism, narcissism, all of that.
So I was gonna actually, in this context, okay, we have the materialistic model, but coming back to the concept of beauty again, and patterns, I wanted to emphasize on the perceptual specificity of it. And while you were talking, I thought about there is a sort of an internal indicator, right? Whatever we perceive as beautiful. And the example, I think it's one of the simplest examples in this case, is the musical harmony.
Yeah.
So basically, okay, musical theorist here, right? I'm not the one.
We've been writing music for a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know the proper terms to describe that, but I will do, I'll try to do it very simple. So we have harmonious sounds and non-harmonious sounds. So if you take this, the regular notes scale, so whatever C with E together, and then adding G, that's the harmony. But if we switch, let's say E to D, then we'll get slightly disharmonious sound. And we internally, like the way our cochlea and then sound perception is wired, for us it is implicitly clear what is harmonious and what is not.
Yeah, postmodernists would say it's cultural. It's like trend, or that sort of thinking that everything is up to interpretation and nothing is sort of nothing is natural, I guess.
Well,
in that thinking,
I was leading to the presence of this internal indicator. Like somehow you like this. Like this is as an
but they're wrong. That was my point. Like they're wrong. Like it's you kind of feel it. You feel the goodness. You feel that which is beautiful, that which is good. You kind of, that's not just audible perception, right? It's like a perception of everything resonates, right? That's why we use the term resonate. Like, right? When we understand something, we will say, I resonate with it, right? I sort of, it sings for me. Yeah. Well, no, that's what. We can relate, but related is like in that sense, it's a bit more kind of flat, right? But when we say like when we're inspiring and when we're resonating something, right? It's a different perspective, right? It's a different sort of notion of how to, but it directly relates to what's this, right? The feeling of harmony. It's a metaphor, right? But it's we live through metaphor, we think through metaphor, and we talk through metaphor.
I was trying to connect the beauty and the harmony, basically.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. So we implicitly kind of understand what the harmony is, and we automatically perceive it as beautiful. And two examples.
And it resonates. That was
two examples. Yeah. You mentioned there is a cultural specificity. Nevertheless, there was a very basic neuropsychological test. They had a sort of like a cloud-like form written, and then something like a star-shaped form written. And it's called, the test is culturally indifferent. So people were asked, what is Bouba and what is Kiki? Of course, the cloud-like structure was Bouba. and the star-shaped like sharp structure was Kiki. So, and then, well, what I'm trying to say that this is our perception, so we kind of understand the beauty in this way. Another neuropsychological aspect, we have this fusiform facial recognition area, somewhere like over there, and how do we perceive beauty has been like tested millions of times. There are two aspects that are important in this context. How do you beautifully you perceive the face? First is symmetry. The more symmetrical, the more beautiful. And second one is the more generic face, like average face. So the most beautiful face would be an average face.
I doubt the results of those experiments. I doubt the conclusions. I doubt it. That sounds to me. I know the cliche. I know that symmetrical and all that. No, I don't think so.
It's a pattern that's what was tested. That's the thing. And there are
neurophysiological. I question it. I don't know.
Experiments are very easy. True. I mean, there's a study design, right? And they have very specific measures.
Yeah. I mean, which measures? How are they chosen?
So easily, the central line of the face, then the distance of the eyes. I mean, they could have thousands or hundreds of conditions to manipulate, but they all fit into two generalized patterns, which is the averaging of all of the facial features and then the symmetry. So they could manipulate.
True, but then how do they make a description of people that relate like that?
There is a visual analog scale. Just one question: evaluate how you find it beautiful or not beautiful. Right, all right. That's it. Very easy. Super easy.
Okay, sure.
It's I'm defending that there is a mechanism that automatically defines beauty.
Okay,
extrapolate a little bit.
I was just doubting the symmetry. And what was the second one?
Average.
Like the uniformity or something close to that.
Yeah, well, let's call it a very average face. So the face that does not have any like super
distinctive features.
Distinctive facial features like the long nose or the bright nose or the ears or something.
Sure. Well,
I'm just saying that there is a mechanism, right? And the beauty is being perceived most of the time based on I mean, you know better because let's say the internal design, right? Or there's visualizations, and overall preference still goes to something that is symmetrical rather than.
No, that was my was my whole doubt where it comes from. Yeah, there's a study. All right, cool.
So what's actually rolling out? Yeah, tell me.
Now that, like, look, I'm not only a designer, I sculpt, right? And this has actually been my, what would you say? Like, I was thinking a lot about it in the last few weeks, right? Because I sculpt digitally. I don't like, I like sculpting with my hands, but like, you can do a lot more inside of 3D of the 3D space. There's programs, right, and they are written in a certain way, and they have this instrument called symmetry, right? It's an amazing tool, right? It's what saves a lot of time, right? Because as a sculptor, as a classic sculpture, you have to it's a whole different skill. Here, it's taken away, it's decided for you, right? You can do like a completely symmetrical, like perfect things. They just don't look beautiful. I made them and I'm like, fuck this, I don't want it. I keep sculpting and I cannot. Like, as everything is symmetrical and it's so fucking boring. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've experienced it like through thousands of hours of sculpting. It's just not like, I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of the things that I sculpt or I can sculpt with this tool are attractive. I sculpted them for some reason, right? I found those forms relatable and beautiful and everything else. Yeah. But then I look at it and I'm like, I don't wanna do anything. I don't wanna print it out. I don't wanna sculpt it in real life. I don't wanna keep it on a shelf. I don't wanna do anything. I just wanna close it and forget it. Even though I spent like last 30 hours on it, I'm like, no. For some reason, right?
We have a very nice structure for us who listens to us. So we tried to identify that there is a mechanism, internal mechanism, that allows us to define whatever is beautiful, whatever is not. Neuropsychology mechanism that would say symmetry and averaging are the two notions to be considered. So as could be said as criteria to defining whatever is beauty, but this is not. So,
well,
correspondingly, I mean, it's a natural switch into, so what do you consider to be beautiful from your perspective? How do you define that? Is it visual? Is it
no,
entirely using all your perception, your body reactions? Yeah, just tell about your experience, for example, and I'll then just try to relate it to mine, and then maybe we will see if we're similar or different. Maybe studies are wrong with this, but I really, as a neuroscientist, I doubt.
I know regarding the study, just quickly, I think they're not wrong in what they were looking for, but they haven't found what they were what they were really supposed to look for. It's my interpretation. I don't know. Like they assumed something and then they decided to look for it. Like it's my interpretation.
I can check their hypothesis for the next time.
Yeah,
but the idea,
yeah, but it's well, really.
Maybe we'll just explore it or anything.
Yeah, no.
Usually,
Science tends to average out the points, not to find out of something out of the norm, right? A lot of it is just like averaging out points and yeah, when you average out points and you find that people sort of in a way most what they prefer, symmetrical faces, okay, good. But show them a really symmetrical face. Show them a sculpt that I can make.
You're kind of moving to the point that there are no symmetrical faces in reality.
That's obvious, right? That's it's obvious. I'm not going there. I'm saying that for some reason we find perfect symmetry
beautiful.
No, it's the opposite.
Okay, tell me more. That's what I'm trying to get out from you.
Perfect symmetry, alienating. That's what I kind of, well, it's not only me, right? I listened to other people discuss it, sculptors discuss it, like artists, whoever. People for some reason find perfect symmetry repulsive. Like, there has to be some, obviously, if you go too far, you go too ugly. You go too
what is the extent of deviation?
Yes, yeah. Or maybe that, right? Maybe that parameter. Like in between of perfect symmetry, there's like I think there's a dialectical structure between them. Like they are another term would be opponent processing, right? That we have in cognitive science, right? Where necessarily two things are in tension. Intention, right? They're not pulling too far. They're not slagging, right? It's like a string. You have to pluck a string. It has to be. Did you get lost?
No, I'm just like, wow, intention.
Yeah, intention and
I'm using this word so often, and it's for the first time it struck me like intention. It has to be intention.
Yep. And there's
you spell them differently, but I mean, this is just different.
Is it too differently, or is it just like that you?
No, I mean it's just because intentional there's NT, but
Yeah, yeah.
intention
Mhm.
there's an
Tension,
S.
tension, yeah,
Tension, yes. So
yeah, but it's
you
fun.
never think of it that way.
It's fun to play with words like that.
I never do. That's the thing.
Well,
that's my skill.
That's part of the play. That's part of the other parts of cognitive science. And
That's why I'm reflecting through you, because I never
play.
think of those things, right? Well, you're there for this. So go ahead. Yeah, the beauty. Okay, intention. What you were leading to then?
In order to have opponent processing, you have to have perfect tension. You have to have, like, again, not too tight, not too sluggish.
What are the points then?
Where was it going?
Points of creating the tension.
In between those symmetry and asymmetry of the face.
So you have to create extent. It's a sort of a properly set up tension between.
Yeah, between the symmetries and symmetries. It has to be in proper proportion.
Then our faces are designed that way because they're asymmetrical.
Yeah, and the more they have this balance, the more they have this tension or kind of relation towards one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't also, when we're looking at the face, we're not just looking at the face, we're looking at the whole.
Yeah.
And so you can look, like as a verb, you look ugly. You can look ugly. You can look beautiful. Let me phrase it. You can look beautiful, but you can look like you can have an ugly look to you. Right, you have an ugly demeanor. You can be very repulsive, and then the other way around. You can be really, let's say, not conventionally attractive, but you can be gorgeous in the way you behave, in the way you dance, in the way you talk, in the way those are perfect symmetries.
You just mentioned the holistic perception of beauty, in my understanding, where the symmetry plays a role, but not to an extent when it even becomes important.
Again? Say again?
The symmetry plays a role in the perception, in the holistic perception of beauty, but not to an extent to be considered important.
Say more.
Explain, you mean?
No, not explain, but like continue with.
Okay. So yes, basically the symmetry plays a role, but it's not critical in defining the view and considering this extent of symmetry in between two sides of the object that's being perceived. Mm-hmm. And based on the example that you have mentioned, it's for me it sounds like an evident holistic perception of beauty, and we simply probably don't understand that. Number one, because of the conditioning. Conditioning leads to stereotype thinking, or stereotype thinking, I would also call it a patternized thinking. Perception in patterns.
So they don't even know what beautiful means. They're looking at the word.
They think they know. We all think we know, right? We don't distinguish them from us. It's just that we are the couple of weirdos, right? That are trying to.
Well, not just couple. There's
right now here at the moment.
I'm always with them.
There are definitely more, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we're just the ones talking, so we make the noise. And this is very interesting, right? Because when you mentioned, I just imagined myself, a man. Not super attractive, kind of big, but at the same time, the way he moves and everything, he's being perceived. So this is perception.
I've experienced it myself with other people.
It's a tricky thing, and okay, I'll be let me defend the stupid side, okay, right now. Differential psychology, right? That is based on differentiable physiology to an extent. So, and the different functions of the nervous system, and partially due to conditioned perception of patterns. So then we have culturally distinct and culturally dependent definitions of beauty. I don't want to bring up like stupid examples about the Asian cultures which prefer the white skin, whereas Western cultures actually do prefer being tanned, even though it's unnatural for them.
I don't actually see how it's different.
It's just the cultural
and no, I don't see how it's different.
I didn't get that. I mean, what do you mean? That there's cultural differences that do not make sense? Wait, but let me finish. It's just a layer in this case, because fundamentally, so okay, let's call it that way. I was studying cross-cultural stuff basically, and my PhD started with doing cross-culture. And when we are talking about, again, this is my interpretation of the studies that I've been looking through in that time, and we even have a chapter in the book that tries to explain the presence of differences in perception that are culturally based. And what we talk about in that case, we distinguish cognitive processes into the following. We have sensation, which is, you know, fragmentary perception of basically small units of the entire. So it's warmth, it's light, very basic. Then we have next,
micro perceptions.
This is well, sort of, not really. Next level is perception. Perception is different from sensation because it we classify the objects as holistic. So as a simple example, you cannot sense the box, but you can perceive the box. That's good. And sense, you can sense that it's hard, that it's cold, you know, these are the sense. So it's, I don't know if we can classify them as micro perceptions. The next level what we have is thinking, right? And then reasoning, then memory, attention, and the idea in that book is that as soon as you go beyond sensation, you start having cultural differences, which should be conditioned.
I think so. That's so wrong.
Go ahead. There are two predictions. I will either agree with you or ruin you. Go ahead.
No.
I mean, I have tons of arguments. That's why I started this conversation about differentiation and the perception of beauty, because indeed it's culturally defined. And but here we have to specify what does it mean culturally defined?
Yes,
Because this is I would say the most prevalent action or whatever, the construct within the specific group of people that is to an extent defined by the living conditions. And that's why we go even deeper and we sort of drive around this, you know, climatic hypothesis. Like we talked today about dances, why dances are different in different cultures, because people in Africa always have sun, very little rain.
Outdoors.
They are outdoors and they they can allow themselves to do bigger, brighter, like movements that take more space. Whereas the Irish people, right, they are forced to cope with the rain. You will not be dancing in the rain outside, so you go to the pub, you crow. I mean, it's usually very crowded, and you move with the legs. And your hands are fixed. You know, that is one of the examples. That's what I mean. And usually cultures are defined by this. And then it's a long conversation because we have another distinctive example: wheat and rice cultures. You know, they are so different. For me, this is a sort of a speculative game, right? Because you can look at the differences on any level and you will find them no matter what. So when we talk about the beauty in this case, is, I mean, it would be fair to say that it is culturally conditioned to an extent. If you have something else to say to this, because I was trying to say that there are universal mechanisms, because we distinguish harmonies and non-harmonies, but as soon as we go from a simple perception to a more complex, and we run up to reasoning, you know, and memory, it is kind of indeed culturally defined. I can bring up several more examples, like how the people actually read the text, and it's not based on whether the text is written from right side to the left side or vice versa. It's just the perception. So, okay, if we started talking about this, there was a study that tried to define how representatives of Asian cultures and Western cultures look on the websites. And all Asians, they use eye tracking. All Asians were looking first at the entire page, and then they were start looking for some specific aspects. While the representatives of Western culture, they never had the pattern of looking through the entire page. They were looking for how do you call it?
trying to
Points on the
Yeah.
background. So they started reading the text. and everything. So
Yeah.
school and family, all the rituals and everything that is embedded and crystallized in cultures is reflected on the perception of beauty. And what I'm trying to come to with you at the moment is to find culturally non-sensitive beauty perception patterns. So I would love to agree that you say that is not true, and help me because I don't know.
I'm trying to help myself first. But yeah,
Meanwhile, I'll think what else could there be, because I mean the perception of beauty is important, and I kind of see we all like it. I mean there are slight differences, and I can feel that there is a more generalized patterns like this emotional reactions to beautiful. But then the question is, there should be some understanding of the fundamental beauty, right? That goes beyond something that could be distinguished by culture, right? So we all cultures look at the night sky, and when they see the Milky Way, I'm sure culturally indifferent, they would say, "Oh, it's beautiful." Then I would imagine people coming to a cliff, looking at the sea.
in our last conversation, they wouldn't say it per se, like no. Some of them would be cold and still, and wouldn't say anything.
It's not about reactiveness; it's about
That's the
internal
whole. The again the participatory, right? You know, it's like you kind of it's beautiful. It's not just it's beautiful.
You feel it's beautiful.
It's like you. That's where we began. You feel the sense of awe. You're almost shaken, like it's almost terrifying. Right?
I think back to my conversation with religious people. When I said no, I was canceled. When I said feel, that was
yeah.
So I was surprised that there is such a tension between
and
those.
There shouldn't be.
So here we are talking. So right, this is the example that you're bringing in. Yeah, you're feeling that the holistic perception of beauty, and I'm trying to figure out like what's it all entirely humane, because I want to defend the statement that we actually are capable of perceiving beauty culturally indifferent, and there is a mechanism or a pattern to do that.
I think there's many representations of beauty in the world, right? There's can be produced by different cultures, right? But the main pattern of beauty, right? The other translation of logos would mean pattern. The pattern of everything, or a meta phenomena that unifies everything else, right? And beauty is part of logos. It's one of the distinguished like parts in how we distinguished in theology, right? It it's not easy to it's not that easy to convey. Right.
Well, it feels like there is a perception, and if we show, I mean, again, I'm coming from the mechanistic / research perspective. If we pick the natural stimuli, right, just similar to the test with the patient with faces, beautiful, not beautiful, and we would give, I think I can distinguish that. So first, I assume whatever is created by nature is never being dubbed as not beautiful. I don't know. I've seen so little people saying, looking at the nature, that this is not.
Those in Mariana Trench, those fish that with the fucking teeth and everything, the lamp. What's it called?
The devil.
Yeah,
the sea devil or something. No,
I think no. That's the other one. The one with the lamp, I think, is like I don't remember what's it called.
So why are you bringing those?
They're quite ugly.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm not talking about animals. I'm talking about landscape right now.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm just visioning myself a side of landscape, no matter what that is, a desert, an Arctic, and forests, Austrian Alps or whatever that is. Everybody, I mean, if we do the study, I think 99 plus whatever percent, if we take the healthy individuals, would say it's like beautiful on the top four in like scale. I mean, on the top scale. So why? And here I start a long explanation. Neuropsychological mechanism, and I'm proving that there is a natural mechanism of perceiving the beauty as it is, holistic. And it's been talked about a lot that in nature we observe specific patterns, like 3 of them, that unfold into other patterns, like the golden ratio, or I don't remember. But I mean, we can see them. And I'm diving into neuroscience of visual perception. So basically, all the shapes that we perceive, they are perceived thanks to the group of neurons that actually fire when the specific stimuli is being coded by retina. I'm still fascinated how it's being processed, but I mean,
It's alchemy.
What I'm trying to say is that we cannot perceive the corner if we don't have the group of neurons that fire up when there is a code coded by retina that there is a corner, sort of.
There's a signal.
I mean, a specific set of code.
Patterns, codes.
Yeah, and nature is full of those, and they are complex patterns, but then for our eyes and for retina, I assume they're simple, and that's why they are interpreted that way. So we have rods and cones, on the retina, and they are responsible for different types of visions, like shape vision and then color vision. So we perceive the shape, I assume, as these patterns, and then we add up the color based on the length, exclusively on the length of the electromagnetic wave that is being reflected from the object. Boom. But I just feel that.
That's where relevance realization, I think, it begins like way there, like.
Yes, it could be so. It could be so. So, you're making this so complicated.
I'm sorry.
Because I'm building
I'm sorry.
Okay, let me try not to get lost. So yes, the relevance, if we assume, okay, for those who listen to us to this moment, I use often the term heuristic equations.
Well, heuristic equations.
In
Russian it's heuristica, in English it's heuristics.
But I mean heuristic equations. But what I mean, if we don't know what is set out there, and we just play the game. So we say, let's assume, and then we build the equation. So it's nothing more than another, abstract construct that we are using in a conversation. So what I'm trying to say, if we assume that relevance realization is already defined out there, and our entire perception works for us. So basically, if we assume that we consider whatever is culturally indifferently beautiful, let's say natural landscapes, and there are specific patterns that are hidden behind them that are recoded by our brain as something that is absolutely beautiful. So we have the mechanism to define that. And considering that these patterns repeat, and we also take all of the patterns from the infinity of the patterns that exist over there, so we kind of shape our own perception of beauty based on the segments that we've pulled out from this variety, sort of. Like why?
And for some reason we pulled them out. It wasn't random, right?
We have a fact. I would not defend that this is random, and I never say things are random.
No, I'm not saying you would say.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's like it means there's a pattern, there's a logic to it, there's logos to it.
Yeah, like a very simple example why we have squared houses. Why did we not adopt rounded corners or something? There's a reason we have.
Well, there's Mongolian tribes that do yurtas.
People would say that this is inefficient, rounded, take too much space. I mean, there are reasons for this. Okay. Anyway, we have the fact, right? And we live in this squared world. And that's why we have sometimes the urge to get out into nature and then just observe the nature, because all the patterns are regulate, the signals and everything, because we were designed to live in this landscape, sort of. So basically, I'm defending the presence of the internally set up mechanism to perceive the beauty, and this beauty is patternalized in shapes and does not necessarily concern something that we've started from
in different shapes.
different shapes,
Yeah,
combination of shapes.
and
And
that's
they're
why
complex.
they can be model. They can be cultural.
But
That's how they become.
I want to come back a little bit. So if come back to the experiment. So we have the experiment running, and a moment. I've been talking too much. But if we continue this experiment and we give people something that is considered beautiful in different cultures, then our scale will fail. But
because it's an averaging out scale.
But hold on.
Or the scale is
You're catching not the important thing in this case. This is not important. The scale is not important.
Yeah.
What is important, what is derived by culture is beautiful.
Uh-huh.
So, and then the very simple example, let's say people live in the desert. This is their pattern. And they think this is all they have. So adjust the perception to the pattern. And they pull out, I don't know, the colors and everything. And people who live in the forests, and they will represent it with the paintings from the culture that lives in the desert. Most probably they will consider it most probably not beautiful. Most probably. I mean, I've seen more.
Would you say they perceive the same colors, right?
Depends on what that is. I'm just saying the products of culture. And the products of culture could be anything. That could be music. That could be paintings. That could be songs.
Yeah, a lot of it can
everything.
be like what it looks like to me. A lot of it can be, trained,
Conditioned.
well,
It's all conditioned. I mean, we got stuck. For me, we got stuck in the process where naturally
then for some
beautiful
reason
becomes culturally specific.
But then for some reason beauty plays a role in it plays a role in evolution.
Definitely.
It plays a role in sexual what's it called?
Mating behavior. That's
For some
animalistic.
reason you but it's not only in humans, right?
No.
Because there's like little
Birds.
pufferfish or birds that build
Birds,
nests and then dance and then like
For me,
the
this is
whole
insane.
idea of
Yes.
like a singing in the like that we perceive that we humans we perceive that as singing and it's beautiful, and they too, which is what.
There is a universal pattern for defining beautiful.
Yep.
That goes across
Yep.
species, across kingdoms of animals, kingdoms of live creatures. That's what we are trying to convey
Or
for you
understand
listeners
ourselves.
and understand ourselves.
Yeah, because I sure still don't really understand it. Like I can try and try and try, and we can try together. Trying together is better.
Well, Dialogos, right? So
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a pattern, right?
And that's why we are capable, but then coming back to the Reiki model, right? And the relevance realization and the logos and the concept of beauty in this regard, then we can actually admit that there is a universal, culturally independent beauty standards that are ingrained in us, patterns
that will necessarily differentiate into cultural distinctions by definition, because it differentiates. It cannot be differentiated the same way in every culture because the environment plays a role, right? Because the weather plays a role, because the proximity to a forest or the ocean or desert, or now it differentiates. Now that beauty pattern affects matter. Now it into all of those different forms, and some of them cannot be some of them can be not recognized by other cultures, right? Because they will not have that in their training data, right? Let's call it training data. They will not have that experience, right? So they will not find it necessarily beautiful at first. But I would even it's way too broad. Right? because we find, let's say, some African garbs, right, that they use in ceremonies quite beautiful. We find their dances quite, like if the African tribe dances and it's like, it's vibing, like and we're like, what the fuck, it's so cool. For some reason we were born not in that, like, not there, right?
Yeah, that what forced me to question. I mean, there are distinctions, but at the same time, there are similarities. So it's all about beauty, it's all about patterns. Specific patterns that are.
And it's always dance,
human.
it's always singing, it's always clothing, right? It's all like, it's our relationship to the, how in mythology we have notions of, we basically have the same descriptions of gods, especially in animism and everything else. They all look very, very much similar.
I thought of a nice point to wrap everything up. Whatever is beautiful does not necessarily have to be preferred or liked by me.
Oh yeah, and it can terrify you. Like, that's, for some reason I keep sort of harping on that point. Like, beauty is not nice. Beauty is not flat. Beauty is not smooth, right? There's notion of, Rebecca uses this notion of, it's not his. I don't think he gets it from somebody else. The notion of, we think about beauty as smooth, is like, it's like, it's beige. It's like, when we look when we have like futuristic movies, right? We imagine everything is like kind of, wavy, but also like, well, the best term is smooth. And smooth is not beautiful. Smooth is average. Smooth is kind of, it's meh. Like, it's not beauty. Beauty is what calls you. It was like gravity. Like, for some reason, again, you decided to look not at everything else, not at this, but at this or this. And for some reason, it grabbed you, right? It grabbed your relevance realization. Because you can attend to a billion different other things, right? But you decided to do that, and it grabbed you. So the beauty grabs you, and it doesn't really give you, a chance to sort of look away.
So we are coming, in the context of relevance realization, we are coming to this idea that there's a pattern, right? And when I talk about beauty, it has to be a match. That it attracts your attention. And then I wanted to further develop that into how do we misinterpret sexual attraction and human tribing. But I mean, that's part of a different story. And I think right now it's a good time to wrap up our beauty discussion. So again, for those who listened to the very end, we have Dialogos, where Dio is moving through the logos as what?
The pattern
that consists of three main aspects or components.
Or the sacred pattern of,
Don't confuse. Logos is the pattern that consists of three components that we discussed. Last time we discussed the good. This time we discussed the beautiful. And next time we'll discuss the truth. So thanks for being around. Like, subscribe if you like it. Comment if you could relate to something that we've discussed in this dialogue or Dialogos. And wait for the next one coming up soon. And wishing you to understand what is beautiful for you. Yes.
Okay. Good.
Bye-bye.